मदरसे में आप बच्चों को ये शिक्षा देते हो कि गजवाए हिंद होगा, गजवाए हिंद में आप सारे हिंदुस्तानी हिंदुओं को तलवार से काटने की बात करते हो, ये सबसे बड़ा आतंकवाद है। दूसरा,
आप कहाँ से? मेरा जवाब पूरा नहीं हुआ। क्या है आप?
अजमेर से हूँ, मदरसे से पढ़ के आया हूँ सर।
जी जी।
मोहम्मद खान मेरा नाम है, मैं खुद मुसलमान हूँ और मुझे ये पढ़ाया गया कि ईसा मसीह जो आसमान पर चले गए थे वो वापस आएंगे यरूशलेम में और फिर सारे हिंदुस्तानी उनके साथ मिलके पाकिस्तान बॉर्डर से तलवारों के साथ हिंदुओं की जो है वो गर्दनें सर से काटेंगे।
लिखा है
ये गजवाए हिंद में इन्होंने हमें पढ़ा, ये पढ़ाते हैं मदरसों में, ये सिखाते हैं। मुझे इसका जवाब चाहिए, मुझे इसका जवाब चाहिए क्या?
नमाज पढ़ रहे तुम डीजे बजा रहे हो, आरती क्यों बजाओगे? जय श्रीम के नारे बहुत जोर जोर से लोग लगा रहे थे तो कोई बर्दाश्त नहीं करेगा। डीजे हमारे मस्जिद के सामने क्यों डीजे बजाएगा?
I come from Lebanon. I was born and raised in Lebanon, which used to be the only majority Christian country in the Middle East. We were open-minded, we were fair, we were tolerant, we were multicultural. We prided ourselves in our multiculturalism. We had open border policy. We welcomed everyone to come to our country because we wanted to share with them the westernization which we had created in the heart of the Arabic world. Muslims used to send their children to study in our universities because we had built the best universities in the Arabic world. They graduated and worked in our economy because we had built the best economy in the Middle East, even though we did not have any oil. Beirut became Paris of the Middle East, the banking capital of the Middle East. In 1965, National Geographic magazine had on its front cover, Lebanon, Eden of the Middle East. Unfortunately, all this began to change as the years went by. See, we got our independence in the early 40s. But by the 60s and 70s, the Christians had become the minority and the Muslims had become the majority in Lebanon. And as the Islamic population grew in the country became less and less tolerant because they started pushing for more rights that were not compatible with our Judeo-Christian value system that we had created. And that's when the problems started. The problem was contained until the influx of the Palestinians out of Jordan in 1970, when Lebanon brought them in because we already had refugee camps. Actually, at that time, Lebanon was the only country in the Middle East to accept the third wave of Palestinians into Lebanon. The majority of them were Muslims. They put their heads together with the Muslims in Lebanon and declared jihad on the Christians. What they wanted to do is create a base from which to fight Israel, kill the Jews, and throw them into the sea. Something they tried to do in Jordan. Yasser Arafat and the Palestinians tried to do in Jordan, but they failed because of the dictatorship of the king. Yet they were able to come to Lebanon, use our open-mindedness, our fairness, our tolerance, our multiculturalism, and our democracy to topple our democracy. My 9/11 happened to me in 1975 when radical Muslims blew up my home, bringing it down, burying me under the rubble wounded as they shouted Allahu Akbar. My only crime was that I was a Christian living in a Christian town. I ended up in a hospital for 2.5 months. And as I laid in a hospital bed, hooked up to IVs in both arms, I would ask my parents, why did they do this to us? Why did they attack us? And my father would tell me, because we are Christians, the Muslims consider us infidels and they want to kill us. So I knew since I was a 10-year-old child that I am wanted dead simply because I was born into the Christian faith and lived in a Christian town.
We held a committee hearing on the Foreign Affairs Committee to look at the reports of human rights violations, to talk about the bigger issue with the Modi administration's anti-Muslim rhetoric and how that is leading to human rights violations as well. I don't believe that it is being talked about to the extent it needs to in Congress, but also with the administration. My hope with this visit is that there are going to be many more conversations, the condemnations and concerns of those who fight for human rights.
But I ask, what about Modi in India? How are we promoting a free and open region by supporting Modi? So I ask you, why has the Biden administration been so reluctant to criticize Modi's government on human rights? What will it take? How much does the Modi administration have to criminalize the act of being Muslim in India for us to say something? And the situation gets out of control in the way that it did with the Rohingyas. We all of a sudden show our interest in whatever genocide that's taking place. But we have an opportunity now to lead.